waiting. When you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel it, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel it, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Good evening. Well, it's actually about a little past 2:30. I'm doing my podcast a little bit early today, but it will go live at 7 p.m. tonight. It's March 16th. It's the eve to St. Patty's Day, and I wish everybody a very happy and safe St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. It's a Sunday, so you don't have to work, and it should be lots of fun. The weather here in the Hampton Roads area is going to be very, very nice, so it should be a great time for everybody. So this is my weekly podcast, Real Estate with Mr. G, where we talk about current events in the real estate and mortgage industry. And I'm also a licensed referral specialist and associate broker for Realty Connect LLC, where I could help you purchase a home or list a home anywhere within the United States. And basically, you could contact me, or you could go to my website, realestatewithmrg.us, US meaning for the United States, everywhere across our great land. I could consult you. I could give you my opinion, what's going on, my advice, but the actual showing of homes or the listing of homes will be done with agents in that locale. And these are agents who are like in the top 5% of their area. These are full-time agents who really are experienced within the industry and have good sales volume and good reviews. So I think it's a great service, and there's no additional cost for this. It's not saying, well, since I'm going through Realty Connect with Mr. G, I have to pay him. No. Everything comes out at the closing, okay? If you're the seller, it's your regular, whatever commission you agreed upon with your listing agent, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later because there's going to be some changes. Or if you're a buyer, there's really no cost to you whatsoever, because A buyer, you're not paying any commission. Sellers are paying a commission once the house sales or the house closes, and the commission is generated from the sale. But either if you are a buyer or a seller, there's no fee that you're paying directly to me. So you're actually getting like two experienced agents for the price of one, and I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing. So to kind of clarify that whole setup, I would like to show you a little, it's like a cartoon video that helps explain what Realty Connect is.
Imagine hiring someone for a job without an interview. That's how most people pick a real estate agent. Unfortunately, most people don't find out what kind of agent they have until they're already in the middle of a transaction. But how do you find a great agent before making a move? Realty Connect is an invite-only network of the top 5% of all real estate agents in the country. Our free, easy-to-use online service helps you find the right agent for the job. Here's how it works. At Realty Connect, we analyze historical data from millions of real estate transactions and past client reviews to objectively determine which agents are good in a given area. Then we grade each agent on their skills, experience, reputation, knowledge, and communication. Extraordinary agents that score 95% or higher are invited into our network. This comprehensive vetting process allows us to recommend 3 top local agents that will be a good fit for a buyer or seller based on the client's unique needs and the skills and strengths of the agent. Just provide us with some basic information about you and your real estate goals. Once received, we'll match you with 3 top-rated agents that specialize in your market. Evaluate each agent and decide who you like best without any pressure or obligation. We make finding the perfect agent fast and easy, but the best part is our service is 100% free. That's right, none of our services will cost you a penny. We felt the best way to find a real estate professional, and it works by matching you with top-rated agents based on their skills and strengths. Our nationwide network allows us to serve every zip code in the U.S., so whether you're moving across the country or just moving across town, if you're buying or selling a home, let Realty Connect help you find an extraordinary agent today.
Okay. I think that video nicely summarizes what we do. And again, you're dealing with top agents. You're not dealing with a friend who's a friend who's a friend, or who might, they know you and they might give out or let some information slip about you to other friends, or maybe even family members. So I think this is a good way to go about it. And again, you'll be presented up to 3 agents, and then you choose which one you feel the most comfortable with. So I think it's a pretty nice thing. All right, so let's go to our topic question for today. I think it's Tony from Atlanta.
Good day, Mr. G. Thanks for having me on your worldwide video podcast. I want to list my home. Can you describe the various housing markets that are out there, and should I list my house now? Any suggestions will be most appreciated. I truly enjoy your weekly podcasts and watch and listen to them with my entire family. Blessings to you, your family, and all your descendants.
That was very nice. Thank you, Anthony. And blessings to you and your family as well. Probably the majority of my video podcasts will be directed more to the buyer. And we kind of like leave the seller out, quite a few times, because just it seems like the majority of the podcasts and the articles on my blog are geared to the buyer. And the buyer, it's when you think about that, what the buyer needs to know about the whole purchasing process, all the steps involved, and the biggest hurdle is getting pre-approved, and then for them to learn about home values and appraisals and home inspections. So this kind of more on their side. I'm not saying this less to do with the sellers, but the sellers, you're already an experienced home buyer because you bought a home. So now you're putting it on the market. So the most important item with sellers is that they price their house correctly, right? That they really truly have the market value of the house, that it's not too high, which would perhaps scare away or keep a lot of potential buyers from your house. And if it's too low, you're really getting a lot of people seeing it, but now you're not receiving your full potential on it because you're selling it too low. So, like I said, I mean, I don't want to say this less stress for the seller, but the buyer has to go, especially if they're, excuse me, if they're first time buyers. There's a lot that they have to learn. But this podcast will deal with the sellers and if it's a good idea to put it on the market. We're going to talk about that first, and then I'm going to bring in some very recent news that came in about the real estate market, and it may affect, or probably will affect, prices, and maybe in a good way, because home prices are pretty high right now. So, and that keeps away a lot of buyers too, because again, they might not be eligible for a mortgage with extremely high prices right now. But we're going to get to that in a second. So let's get this up on the screen. All right. There we go. Why today's seller's market is good for your bottom line. So if you think about selling your house, even though the number of homes for sale has been growing this year, or there's more listings hitting the market, there still aren't enough homes on the market for all the buyers who want to buy. Okay? So what does that mean for you? To keep it simple, it's still a seller's market, but this is how it works. A neutral market is when supply and demand is balanced. Basically, there is enough homes to meet buyer demand based on current sales pace, and homes price hold fairly steady. Then you have what's called a buyer's market. And actually, we're going to have a chart below that's going to kind of make this a little bit easier. A buyer's market is when there are more homes for sale than there are buyers. When this happens, buyers have more negotiation power, right? And they'll have more choices. And if there's a lot of choices out there for the seller to capture you, to keep your interest, they might offer you more nice things. They may offer you to give you seller concessions that you could either maybe pay down your mortgage point, all right? To help you pay for your closing costs and or your down payment, all right? Well, let me say more for your closing costs, okay? Because you really need to show proof of your down payment actually before you have a deal. But if they give you money, then that could be applied to either or. So it gives you more buying power. And to win you over, they may perhaps even lower the price of the house. But we really haven't seen that in a while, where they actually lower the price. They they might be more reasonable with repairs at request on the home inspection. During COVID, when there were a lot of buyers and not that many homes, basically, well, in the beginning, buyers weren't even having a home inspection. They said, we're just going to take the house and we'll deal with it afterwards. Then, after a while, I guess some people find out afterwards that the house was in bad shape. They'll say, well, we'll do a home inspection, but it will just be for our own interest. In other words, we just want to make sure the house is not falling down. And if the home inspector says there are some repairs that need to be made, we'll take care of it ourselves. The buyer will take care of it. We're not going to request the seller to do it. Now, when it comes to the appraisal, those repairs have to be made. Otherwise, the bank won't give the mortgage. And depending on what type of mortgage you're getting, it may be the responsibility of the seller to make those repairs, not the buyer. But in the buyer's market, if you say, well, I'd like to have, for you to have the carpets steam clean. In the buyer's market, they most likely will do this. All right, we'll take care of that. If that's very important to you, if you don't mind the stains from the dogs and the cats, we'll do that for you. All right, and that will be done. Now, the opposite in the seller's market is just the opposite. The supply of homes for sale are low, so there's less choice for buyers, and there's a lot more competition. And there are then bidding wars. And if there are bidding wars, the buyer actually has to make a very attractive offer. And sometimes, or a lot of times, it's going to be above the asking price of the property. So if a property is $300,000, they say, well, I'll give you $310,000. And there's usually a signed agreement saying, I'll pay you the $310,000, even if the house appraises at $300,000. And I only can get a mortgage for the amount that the bank appraises it at. So if it's $300,000 and I made an offer of $310,000, I can't finance the $310,000, so I got to give you $10,000 in cash at closing. So there's some good things about it. There's some bad things about that as well, because that's one of the reasons why we have these exorbitant prices right now, because people have done that. You see, once that closes, that sale, right, where they bid perhaps $10,000 over the asking price, well, that becomes then a comp, right? So the next seller that puts their house on the market and they hire a listing agent and they want to get the value of the homes that were sold in that area, and now they'll see that it's up $10,000, and then most likely, if the house is similar to that one, the listing agent will list it at that $310,000, where maybe a couple weeks ago it was worth $300,000. So the seller makes off, very, very well. The listing agent makes off very, very well because it's sold for more money, and both as well as the buyer's agent. But it leads to this inflation, and maybe I'm getting a little bit off course here, but you could. A price of a car, a car is still something we need. But let's say if you're buying, paintings, very well-known, famous paintings, and someone sold one that was by this artist. So if they had, if they made more than one, that price goes up, right? And then there's a person out there who wants to buy, it doesn't affect anybody else, right? If one painting is $300,000, then all of a sudden it was sold at $310,000 or $350,000, it doesn't really affect people personally. I mean, the people who are able to bid on these high priced items, they have lots of money, right? So if they're competing and they have to go another $10,000 above, it's all right, okay? But when this happens in real estate, it hurts people who are trying to buy homes, and they were set for this price range, for homes in this price range, and all of a sudden the median price is going up another 10,000, another 20,000, and now the bank said, "Well, I approved you up to 300,000, but we can't go over that." So it begins to knock a lot of people out of the ballpark, and that's not a good thing. And that's a whole other conversation. I'm sorry. Uh, there's some feelings I have about the real estate market that needs to change, but we'll do that. We'll do that afterwards. I mean, I'll have a separate podcast just for that. But anyway, here's the chart. So here on the top, you have the buyer's market. And in that situation, it may take a listing greater than 7 months to sell. A neutral market is 6 to 7 months. And by the way, even most homes, unless there's really something wrong with the home, or it is the country is going through bad economic times, 6 to 7 months is a long time. And I mean, I've had listings that it went a little bit over 6 months, but it wasn't a lot. Usually, even in a good market, and it could be a buyer's market, I would say between 3 to 6 months. So I don't know if I completely agree with this chart as for the number of months. But one thing is true in the seller's market. And it's really giving you here where they say 3 months supply. I really believe that. If it's seller's market, I mean, during COVID, people were putting it on the market, and the next day it was in contract. So it wasn't even going for 30 days, maybe just a little bit over 30 days, depending on what type of mortgage the person was going for. But definitely just about the 60 days. But to say 3 months supply in the seller's market, I guess that's a good amount. That covers everything. So that's pretty correct. So what does this mean for you, the seller? The market is still working in your favor. So lean on your agent, lean on Chris Gudula on how to get your house listed ready and how to price it competitively. It should get a lot of attention from eager buyers. And you probably will get multiple offers. And this one big quote here from a recent article from Ramsey Solutions. A seller's market is when demand for homes is higher than the supply of homes. And that's still the case right now. If you're planning to sell your house, you can expect to sell it fairly quickly for close to your asking price. As long as your asking price is realistic for the current market. Okay? So the bottom line is still a good time for sellers to list their homes. Now, one thing I want to just throw in about this selling quickly, the homes that really sell quickly are the ones that are turnkey ready, meaning the seller has really done a great job with fixing the house up. Maybe they painted, maybe they steamed all the carpets, they polished all the floors, they've updated their kitchens and their bathrooms. And it's really just the new buyer just has to take the key, open up the door, and move in. Those are the ones that go really, really quick. If your house has not been updated, maybe within the last 10 years, it needs painting. Just don't think, oh, anybody's going to go for it because it's a hot seller's market. But people are still a little picky. All right. So you do, you might not want to, if your bathroom or your kitchen wasn't updated in the last 10 years, you might just leave it as is, but you're not going to get the price that perhaps another comp did that had the updated bathroom or kitchen. So that's why it says, that as long as your asking price is realistic for the current market and dealing with the comps. That's the tricky thing with comps. Because you could, do a search and, all right, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths. It's 1,600 square feet. I'm in the 1 mile radius around the house there. That's going to be listed and see what comes up. And then you're going to get a whole bunch of listings. But then, for the listing agent to do a great job, they really have to look at the photos of each house. Okay? And for instance, if your listing, the listing that you're doing this work for, hasn't had the bathrooms or the kitchens upgraded, all right, and you see others that, everything else matches except for those upgrades, and they're going for $320,000, you really can't list it at $320,000. All right, you have to look at the homes that have not been upgraded, or you have to figure out, what's the price without those upgraded bathrooms or kitchens or whatever. Should I, if that one was $320,000, should I make mine $300,000? And you can speak to the appraiser on that, just saying, what are you giving for updated bathrooms and updated kitchens? And then you just knock it down that price. So it's very, very tricky to do it. And you really need, more so on the listing side, a lot of people think, well, the listing agents, they just have to put it on the market and it's easy money. But it's not, because, there's so many reasons why an appraiser may give a completely different valuation to the home that you listed than what you thought. And I've had that happen. One person lowered the price of the house because it was next to a 7-Eleven that, and it had a sandwich place. And I thought that would be a plus, right? And they said, well, you have that right next door. A lot of these places get robbed and things happen there. And he thought it wasn't a good idea. And I thought there'd be a plus. I'm from the city, If I'm near I'm part of the older generation now. I showed homes, or actually they were rentals, where in one situation a young man was living there, and I said, I was having an open house, and I said, how's the stove working? Any problems with it? He goes, I don't know. I said, what do you mean I don't know? He goes, I never put it on. I said, you lived here for a year. You never made a dinner on it or made some coffee? He goes, no, there's a bodega right downstairs. All right, bodega in the city is your local family-owned grocery store, right? And they have coffee downstairs. I think it was open 24 hours. He goes, and I always have takeout. He never cooked. So I thought, being right next to a 7-Eleven, that's they were originally called 7-Eleven because they opened at 7, closed at 11, but now they're open 24 hours. So to be able to get something to eat, 24 hours a day would be a plus. The appraiser thought it wasn't a good idea. So it's very, very tricky. Again, it's not easy doing listings. And then if the house is not being shown, then the sellers get upset with you, and there's actually more stress on the listing side. So you gotta when you do your listings and you do your comps, you really have to do your due diligence. So anyway, I have a nice little let's see here. I think this is a nice. Oh, here it is. A nice video that kind of like nicely does like a summary of what we just talked about. Alrighty then. One thing I do want to show you, and we're already going over 30 minutes. I'm going to have a separate either podcast or I'll do a video and post it on social media. But big news in the real estate industry on Friday. Chaos consolidation opportunity. Experts weigh in on what the National Association of Realtors settlement means for the industry. So there were lawsuits. It was actually with certain real estate companies, but I guess because they were all realtors. And the bottom line was that the sellers was saying, we put together a 6% commission. 3% will go to my seller's agent. Well, they're worth it, but I have to pay for the buyer's agent too. Okay, because if it's 3%, I'm sorry, if the commission is 6%, in most situations, 3% goes to the listing agent, right, or the listing agent's company, brokerage house, and the other 3% goes to in the industry we say the selling agent, but it's actually the selling is the buyer's brokerage house. And sellers were saying, well, why do I have to pay for their services? They should pay for it. So there were a lot of cases that went and followed suit. And we're going to see a change in the structure of deals starting. It looks like when this settlement is going to be approved, it's going to be in July. And things will change after that, where now the seller could say, I want to make sure my house is sold. They'll still do the 6%, but they might do 3% and say the buyer's agent, they have to work out something with the buyer. So people who are using, I should say buyers who are using an agent will then have to say, well, I'm going to use your services, I'm going to have to pay you. And that may not necessarily be 3%. I mean, if you're looking at let's say, again, a $300,000 property, right? That's going to be $9,000. And if your agent shows you a house and you just went today to look at homes and you fell in the first one, you loved it, are you going to pay them $9,000? It's going to be very, very different. Now, I spoke to some other realtors where they said, well, we could still keep it at 3%, and then they could see if they could finance the $3,000 into their mortgage. Meaning, let's say the house, the price of the house was $300,000, and then they'll take out. Now, there's always down payments. Let's say the mortgage was going to be $300,000, but they're going to say, all right, I'll take out a mortgage for $9,000, so $309,000. But again, it gets a little tricky because the house has to appraise for that amount. So if the house appraised for $305,000, the bank is not going to give you a mortgage for $309,000. Now, if it does, you could take then that additional $9,000 and use it to pay your buyer's agent at closing. So it's going to get a little tricky. I think there's going to be some good things about it, because one of the biggest complaints among many real estate agents, and I'm going to be honest with you, for while I was doing this and I had a second job, I was substitute teaching. But I wasn't substitute teaching every day. I just, in the days that real estate was going slow and I had some extra time, I did it. So I had a second job, but it wasn't like something I had to go to every day. I could do it when I wanted. So I'm not knocking people who have second jobs, but really, to be honest, when you get deeply into real estate, it's really a full-time position. You really can't do it. I mean, you could do it, but you're going to say, well, this is going to be a home inspection. I got to work, so I got to go ask if I could find an agent who will open up the house, or all of a sudden the buyer wants to see a dollar property and you're at your other job. So there's a lot of, and hopefully you have a real estate company where the other agents are very flexible and they'll work with you. But then, of course, you have to reimburse them, and that's usually at closing. So it's going to weed out the real part-timers, or the ones who say, all right, let me go for my license, and I'll automatically become a millionaire because I'm becoming an agent. And then they find out you really got to work hard to be successful in real estate. So I think it's going to weed out a lot of the part-timers, the ones who think they could get rich very, very quickly. And the other thing I'm going to say, I think buyers should pay for their services, because the majority of my buy transactions were really good. I had one or two clients who really drove me nuts. But I think they should pay for their time with you. I mean, or the time you're giving them. And they'll keep buyers from, a lot of times, people call on a listing and they call you, and they say, and as a agent, I say, I could show you any property you see, but they still, if they see another property and it's by another agent, they'll call them, and they don't understand how the business works. Basically, once you get established with one real estate agent, you could just stay with that one agent. You don't have to go to every listing agent to look at the property. In fact, it's better because you'll have buyer's representation, right? Where your buyer's agent will protect you and work in your best interest. So I think there's some good things about it, but you're going to have a group of people or buyers that say, well, if I got to pay for a buyer's agent, I don't think I need their help. I'll do it on my own. But that means that they're going to have to put together the contract. They're going to have to arrange, to get, well, they need to get pre-approved on their own, but they have to get all this paperwork done and do the home inspection and stuff. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be well, a lot of things are up in the air because it's a gigantic change within the industry. Well, anyway, now if you are if you're thinking of listing or buying a house, you could go to but I still want you to use me for your services. You could go to my website. Well, it's actually my blog site. And on my blog site, and I'll put up the address. You go to realestateWithMrG.blog/resource-materials. And you could download, and this just came out. These guides come out quarterly. So right now we have the spring things to consider when selling your house. And then we have the things to consider when buying a house, right? And they actually updated with this nice new one here. It's first time. It used to be geared for millennials, but no matter what, if you're millennial buying you're a first-time home buyer, and guide to buying your first home. And you could download them and read them for free. There's no cost. But still contact me for either your purchase or your listing. All right, so I just wanted to do a little tribute to St. Patty's Day, since that's tomorrow. So I'm going to do my sign off now. I think I did everything I wanted to do. Yeah. Okay. So let me get rid of this. D. Okay. And let's make me nice and big again. All right. So tomorrow's St. Patty's Day. It's going to be a beautiful day. Have a wonderful time. Celebrate. If you're Irish, if you're not Irish. I'm not Irish, but I'm going to be having corned beef and potatoes and stuff like that. So, so enjoy. Be with friends. Be safe. If you're going to drive, don't drink a whole lot, and have a great time. And I'm going to have my closing, but I'm going to just do a little tribute to St. Patty's Day, just a little fun thing. And remember, the greatest power we have is to love, and the greatest gift each other. And I'll see you next week.